big picture. We have to look at the big picture. The big picture is we have eternity. Because we're eternal. We live forever. That changes everything. That makes a big difference. Most people are thinking, oh God, if I'm 40 now, maybe I'll live to be 75, 35 years. Plan out, I've got 35 more years. I'll build a house, or I'll go to Tahiti for a vacation. We plan out 35 years. But what if you have eternity? That changes your plans. You don't just have You don't just have 35 years, you have forever. So what are you going to do forever? Go to football games forever, coffee shops. Is that what you're going to do forever? If you live forever, which is what Krishna says, Jona Jona, Shashvatoya, the soul is eternal, undying, unborn, ever existing. It's not slain when the body is slain. So if we're going to live forever, then how are you going to manage the rest of time? Eternally. What are you planning on doing? Ask someone what you plan to do for eternity. What will they say? Say, I don't think about eternity. I just think about, this week, or we maybe think 10 years from now, or when I graduate from school, then I'll do this. But what about eternity? What are you going to do forever? Yeah, that changes the whole complexion. Everything changes when you consider the time factor. If you're only going to live for 35 more years or 40 years or whatever, that's a limited amount of time. But if you're going to live forever, then how will you live forever? Where will you live forever? It's like we're always thinking, okay, if I'm going to live this many years and I want to stay in this place, it'll be comfortable. So where will you live forever that's comfortable and happy? The spiritual world. Because living forever in the material world is not a very happy. We discussed this the first night. I won't go over all the difficulties of the material world again. It's hard to hear too many times, but if you have to keep taking birth again and again and again, and going through the same cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, is that what you want to do forever? Keep going through the cycle? Suffering? No. So then you need to find out the alternative, where you can live forever and be happy. And there's only one place I know of. That's the spiritual world, where you don't have to go through changing bodies dying, getting old, diseased, anxiety, all the problems. You can live there without any anxiety forever, Vaikuntha. So time management means figure out what you're going to do for eternity. That's the first principle of time management. What do you plan on doing for eternity? Oh, you haven't thought about it? Maybe it's typed, you say, but you don't know what eternity means. You haven't thought deeply about it. I'm speaking to you as representative of materialistic persons. I'm not speaking to you personally. In other words, you say you haven't thought about eternity. You didn't know that the soul lives eternally. Because the body doesn't last for eternity. Who's the oldest person on the planet? I mean, aside from Vyasadeva and a few other personalities, but maybe 112, 120, something like that. Not very long. That's not forever. If you're going to live forever, and you know that, and that shapes everything you do. I'm going to live forever. What am I going to be doing forever? What kind of choices have I got? I have to be very philosophical. How much time do I have? That's the first question. You've got eternity. And if you make wrong decisions, or shall we say, certain decisions, then you can go through a lot of suffering. And if you make positive decisions, and you can enjoy tremendously without any death, without any stoppage. That's the first thing to do, to calculate. What am I going to do forever? And if you say, okay, I want to go to the spiritual world, then then the next question is, okay, I want to go to the eternal place where everything's blissful and no anxiety, and I can live there peacefully. Okay. So how do I get there? Well, I have to perform devotional service. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Praksharita Vimokshana, if before giving up this present body, one gives up all material desires, then he can go back to the spiritual world, then he's successful. So I have till this body is finished. How long is that? I don't know. I don't know how much time I have. So that makes it more interesting. I have to give up the material attachments before I give up this body. But I don't know when I'm going to give up this body. So what does that mean? Who could say? Quick. Better act quick, yeah. That's the priority. Because I don't know how much time I have left in this body. But before I give up this body, I'm supposed to become free from material attachments and become attached to Krishna. And I don't know how much time I have. But if I do, then I get to go back to the spiritual world and live forever. It was a great gain, a great accomplishment if one can do it. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it simple. It can be done in one lifetime. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Yeah, by chanting. If I chant, Kirtaniya Sara Hari. If I chant, Kirtaniya Sada, Sada means always. If I can always chant, then I can go back, then I can achieve perfection in my consciousness in this lifetime. And then when I give up this body, then I go back to the spiritual world. That's really good time management. So I want to manage my eternity in the spiritual world. And in order to do that, I have to use the time I've got allotted to me in this body to become Krishna conscious. That's top priority, because that's for eternity. We're talking about eternity now. Krishna says, Shastra vidim utsrujya vartate kamakarata. Is it? One who gives up the principles of the scripture is abhavnoti, na param gatim, na siddhim, na param gatim. Doesn't achieve perfection, doesn't achieve the supreme destination. So that's, if we don't follow the scriptures, then we have to, no perfection, no supreme destination. But if we do follow the scriptures, if we have faith in Krishna, then we go back to Godhead for eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And the time we have remaining, try to use it as best we can. We know that even if we don't succeed in achieving the perfection of Krishna consciousness in this lifetime, the good thing is that children, no talking please. Then at least I can continue in my next life where I left off, so there's no loss. But we should try our best to finish in one life. Utilize our time wisely. What does Chanakya Pandit say about time? He says, time is the most valuable thing in the world because one moment passed, you can't buy it back for all the gold in the world. It's now 6:40. Is that right? 6:40? Okay, something like that. Saturday. So now 6:40 is passed. So if I say, okay, I want 6:40 back again, how much do I have to pay? No, sir. You can't buy it back. I have so much gold. No, you can't buy it back. Therefore, what's the most valuable thing? Time. Time is our most valuable asset. You can buy many things. If you smash a car, you can buy another car. But once time has passed, you can't buy it back again. So, avyartha kalatam, one should utilize the time very carefully, very valuably. An advanced devotee uses his time very wisely, not frivolous in things that are not important. So the key point of time management is prioritize. What's the most important thing that I have to do? And if something is very important that I have to do it, then make sure I give that top priority. And certainly we should give Krishna consciousness top priority because we're talking about eternality is the prize. So that's the big picture. Now we can break it down. How much time we have left, how to utilize our time. For example, the Vedas give a life plan. If you have 100 years to live, maximum in Kali Yuga, first 25 years brahmachari, next 25 years grihastha, next 25 years vanaprastha, next 25 years sannyas. So divide up your 100 years. And we did a little calculation. If you have 24 hours in a day, you might want to divide it. 6 hours for resting, 6 hours for sadhana, 6 hours for work, for maintenance, and 6 hours for other miscellaneous things, cultural things, educational. So we can divide our time. Any questions on this? Yeah.
You mentioned brahmacharya and grahastha, vanaprastha, like that. But nowadays, by the time we finish college and settle down, work and get married, it is you are in the kind of one of the
You're already on.
then after the child born, by the time they go to finish college,
You're sannyas. That shows how awkward the modern civilization is. It's like they have a policy that girls are not supposed to, they say girls are not supposed to have children before 20 or some say 30 or who knows what. But Prabhupada says that no, as soon as they're able, that's the Vedic culture. So we've strayed from the Vedic culture. We're not following Vedic culture very carefully because we've given up the Vedas, we've given up Krishna, and now we're following, whoever the latest rock stars are. We're following their example, whether popular football players or whatever. We don't really know. We're not really educated or cultured, and we're not trained in spiritual values. So it's a problem because we're dealing with Kali Yuga and things are degrading. But still, the Vedic guidelines are there, and Prabhupada, although he didn't consider it the number one priority to introduce, but he did want to introduce Varnashram society back into civilization because it's such a good system. The system itself is designed to help one advance in spiritual life just by following along with the system. Just like, if there were a brahmacharya ashram, if there are still some in South India, some of you are from South India, they have brahmacharya ashrams, gurukulas, hundreds of children, nicely trained. So it's still happening. That's a good system. They're preparing themselves for making spiritual progress. In the West, we don't have that, do we? No. We don't have that. We don't have that kind of spiritual training, generally. It's becoming less popular. It used to be that some of the boys would go to become, priests or something, Catholic priests, theological seminary or something. That's become also less and less because we're becoming more and more enamored by material sense gratification. Sense gratification has become prominent. Spiritual life has become reduced. But the Krishna conscious movement is meant to reestablish the priority of spiritual life. That's why Prabhupada introduced Gurukula. It's not easy in the West because it's not popular. So he moved the Gurukula to India as our main base, because India still has appreciation for the Gurukula system. But India's culture is Vedic culture, at least the original culture. Now it's imitating the West, but that's not the direction we should be going. In other words, Krishna conscious movement is trying to re-establish the Vedic principles because they're better. Just like nowadays we have abortion. Abortion is legalized practically all over the world. How's that? How can it be legal to kill a baby in the womb? But they do it because it's Kali Yuga. In the West, they don't want any inconveniences for their sense gratification. So we have to understand what is the standard which we should follow. And that standard comes from Krishna. Vedasya sarvaraham eva vedyo. Krishna is the compiler of the Vedas. He is the one who gives knowledge. He has all the knowledge. So if we follow his standards, even in Kali Yuga, to the extent that we can follow them, they're beneficial. Just like I joined at 20 years old. I didn't go to Gurukula, I didn't know about Gurukula. But still I went to the temple, and Prabhupada established these temples as Gurukulas for training. So we got trained as brahmachari. And the women who joined the movement at a young age, they weren't trained properly in their youth how to be chaste. They didn't know. But they came to the temple and they got trained how to be chaste wives, and some of them did. So Vedic culture is good. Some people don't follow the principles of samskaras, garbhadang samskara, for getting good progeny. But those who do, they get the benefits. So those who follow the Vedic system will benefit, they'll make spiritual progress. And those who don't will lag behind. In other words, the Vedic culture is a better system because it's based on transcendental knowledge and spiritual elevation. So yes, your point is a very poignant point. That is that the modern civilization is leading us away from spiritual life more and more just by the nature of everything that we do.
So one of the, if you instead of considering years, if you say that logical, once the kids are become independent, and then you can take one of the stuff.
That's the basic idea is that when the eldest son is of age, he's mature, then he can take over the family, managing the family. And the parents then can go to holy places. They go for some time, they come back for some time, they go for some time. Other questions about time?
Normally, when I'm in distress, my conscious will be more with devotion. And when I'm in the comfort zone, my conscious will be more of ritualistic.
Or what?
Ritual, like service, or the mood will be the ritualistic, like chanting or, yeah.
When you're in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
And when you're in distress, what is it?
It will be little devotion, in the mood of devotion.
More devotion.
Yeah.
Out of distress.
Yeah, out of distress. So, it means whenever we have a problem, like that's what distress means. We have some problem. So,
I think you'd say not out of, so your devotion is out of desperation.
Mm-hmm. So how to cultivate, like even when we are in the comfort zone, how to cultivate that devotional mood? You know, we can't ask like Kunti, like give always problems so that I can remember you. So because I don't have that much courage, to face the problem.
Right, we don't have that courage.
So how to cultivate?
And in Kali Yuga, we got enough calamities coming anyway. They're coming every way we can imagine. So the idea is when you're in a comfort zone and things are going favorably, your health is good and your finances are good and friendships are great, all that's good. Do a lot of devotional service. Maximize it because you've got good opportunity. You can physically do many things. You may not be able to do those things when you get older. So chant and dance a lot. If you're in good health, dance, chant 14 hours, 16 hours a day. Use your bodies. Use your healthy body for service. Use your healthy mind, your healthy brain, use it for service. And then, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his later years, his health failed. And he was talking about his health, and he was saying that if my health fails so much, if it fails completely, then I'll have to be content with simply serving the Lord by remembering Him. Of course, that's a pretty extreme condition. One can't see Krishna. If one can't see the deity or hear or chant or so many things. But he said, even if it comes where I'm completely debilitated, where all I can do is remember Krishna, think of the Lord, then I can do that. But while we have youth, or while we have strength, or while we have facilities, utilize them to the best possible maximum. You use that energy while you got it. Okay? Yeah.
It's about like soul after leaving the body and taking a rebirth. Why don't it remember the past life?
I don't remember this life. I'm saying even this life we can't remember.
Yes.
Do you remember what you did when you were 1 day old?
No.
What to speak of in the womb? But we were in the womb. You can't say I wasn't in the womb because I don't remember it. Your mother says, no, you were in the womb. So we forget even this life. As the body changes, we forget. And we've forgotten most of the things. Even if I asked you what you did a week ago at this time, you'd have a difficult time remembering that. What to speak of previous life, even this life. So forgetfulness is part of changing bodies. Okay?
So how can we continue when the soul changes from one body to the other after the life? So you said that it will be continuing. If we do the Krishna consciousness, if we left at one stage, it will be continuing in the next life.
Yes.
But how could we know that it will be continuing, or it starts from there? It starts from there.
Well, it's like before you go to sleep every night, you have some plans. And you go to sleep, and when you wake up, you continue right where you left off. You have the plans, what you were doing. So death is just like going to sleep for some time. So you have your plan, and when you wake up, you continue where you left off. You remember your plan, don't you? When you wake up, it's not like you're thinking, I hope when I wake up I remember that I have to go to school, or I have to... What if I forget I have to go to school? But you don't forget, because consciousness is continuous, continues.
Maharaj, so devotees, how do they, as we move through generations and Kali Yuga is going to progress, right? How are they going to find more strength to deal with the overcrowding of non-devotees? Eventually it's going to go to that stage when...
Well, we're also growing. Our movement, we started with 50 years ago, one devotee. Now how many are there? Millions. Millions of Hare Krishna devotees. That's pretty good. 50 years. So it looks like Lord Chaitanya's prediction will come true. Prithivyatiyata nagaradigram sarvatra puchay harvimorana. In every town and village in the world, the chanting of the holy names will be known. So it's happening.
So Maharaj, if it is happening, then do you think Kali Yuga may end, like that thing will not happen, right?
What's that?
Where Krishna would have to come here and face the problems again.
They asked Prabhupada about that. Kalki comes. They said, where will the devotees be when Kalki comes? Next incarnation. Prabhupada said, all my disciples will be back to Godhead by then. That gives us hope. At least we can get out before Kalki comes.
I'm happy.
There's no more devotees when Kalki comes. He just takes his sword, riding on a white horse. They get liberation that way. If you want to get that kind of liberation, you don't have to wait for Kalki though. You can get easier just by chanting Hare Krishna. You can go back to God and you don't have to wait for Kalki.
So Maharaj, the conclusion is that most of the devotees would have already made their way up, and
Yeah.
this Davarth is only going to be.
Yeah, what we're in now, it's described that there's a 10,000 year golden age beginning with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is a river going down to the lowest degree. But there's a counter current. What do they call it? It goes the opposite direction. There's a particular term I can't think of, but anyway. It's going back the other way. So that, going back the other way, that's the 10,000 years golden age introduced by Lord Chaitanya's appearance. So he appeared 500 years ago. We have 9,500 years. And the movement will go on expanding. And after that, it gets bleak.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I got a question. If Krishna's devotees are getting liberated, but in Srimad Bhagavatam they say that Kamsa got liberated by Krishna, then Jarasandha was delivered by Krishna. So, if Krishna's haters also get liberated, then why should we have to go through Krishna consciousness if haters also get liberated?
Well, the option is you have to become as big a demon as Kamsa and Jarasandha.
You have to earn that card.
They're big demons. They plan to kill Krishna for many lifetimes. So, question?
What happens to devotees? Like, if devotees are healed when Kalki comes, what would happen?
If devotees are what?
Healed when Kalki
Here?
comes, what would happen?
It won't be around. Because the demons do their job to make sure the devotees are not around. And the devotees there practicing Krishna consciousness, so they go back to Godhead, they won't be around.
In Satvika, it was said that there was no evil doings, but then how was Brahma Maharaj
As an exception. Yeah. It wasn't, that was really exception. Hiranyakashipu was special. As you know, he was Jai and Vijay, the two brothers. They were gatekeepers in Vaikuntha, and they fell down because of an offense to the Kumaras. So that was an exceptional case, but generally speaking. And the demons, they generally don't live on earth. Not the real Daityas and the Danavas and those kinds of demons. They generally stay in the lower levels, like Tala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, the 7 lower planetary systems. They're generally based down there. And they're not subjected to the turning of the ages. They don't experience such in yoga and other things like that. It's mostly for Earth planet. Okay? One or the other? Someone else had a question?
She asked me a few days ago, Maharaj, and Krishna's time, what language he speak to Mother Yashoda? Which language? Which language he communicate with the devotees? When Krishna appears, is it Sanskrit or
Prakrit
Prakrit?
or Sanskrit, something like that. Some Vrindavan dialect. Or Sanskrit, yes.
How did Narada Muni?
Narada, Sanskrit is the Devanagari. It's spoken in the heavenly planets. And in Goloka they speak Sanskrit. They sing Sanskrit. So, go ahead.
How did Narada Muni's dad, today we heard a story and it said that Narada Muni's dad died. Yeah. How did he die? Yeah, how did he die?
It doesn't say. That means it's not important. It doesn't say the father. It doesn't say the father died. It says the mother died. She died by snake bite.
I know.
The father's not mentioned. That's the point. It means that he was not from a high family. Father's not mentioned. So the point of that, the thing we should learn is that even if we're born in a low family, we don't even know who the father is, still, by associating with the Bhaktivedanta devotees, we can become pure devotees and go back to God and become a great saint like Narada. Any other? Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. Hare Krishna. Kirtan, 4%.
What?
Prasadam's coming. So a little more kirtan, 4%.
Now we can stand up.
Stand up, yes.
Oh my God.